Hello and welcome. Well, already blew it, Michael. Geez, we'll leave that in anyway. Hello and welcome to another episode of an experiment called Life with Alex McKenzie. That's me. As always, this episode is brought to you by Punchline Nutrition. Go to punchlinenutrition.com. Check out Neuro Boost. Use the code ATJ. You'll save yourself 25%. It's a very good product. Neuro Boost makes us smarter. It's like a nootropic. What I do say is we don't guarantee it'll make you smart, but we do guarantee it will make you less dumb. All right. So go check out NeuroBoost. You're going to love it. Also, my Never Been Better tour is on sale. So we've got a few dates coming up for that. Go to alextellsjokes.com/live shows. Use coupon code ATJ. That's ATJ is short for Alex Tells Jokes. You'll save 25% on those. Now, today's podcast, we have a very special guest. I'm very excited to talk to this guy. He's very fun and upbeat, and he's a strength coach, which is one of the things that I am struggling with big time right now. So please welcome to the podcast, Michael Kurkowski. Mike, how's it going, man?
Dude, you're a freaking blast, man. This is going to be so much fun. It's always fun coming on podcasts, but when you know it's fun and it's going to be an enjoyable conversation, then you just sit back, relax. This is going to be a great time. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, dude. Oh, man, I'm excited to have you here. Because, dude, honestly, strength is something I'm really struggling with. So this is a little bit of my, been a little bit of selfishness maybe on my part, getting to come here and pick your brain on this. Before I get too into that, though, I guess we can start with how did you get into strength coaching, or maybe just tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a strength coach.
Yeah, sure.
And is that the best way you describe yourself? Is a strength coach? Sorry.
Strength coach is fine, performance coach, just coach in general.
Right.
I
Because you
work
do
with.
more than just physical coaching. Is that right?
You've had a lot of evolutions in thought and how I wanted to approach coaching over the years. I've been doing this since 2008, so almost 17 years now of when I first started. So how I got into it, kind of similar to a lot of coaches that I think kind of get into the field. I was an athlete growing up, always liked being, in some sort of movement and athletics. I played baseball, basketball, tennis. Um, but I was never like the best one on the field. Like I was good, I could hold my own, but I was never like the all-star. So I knew that in order for me to excel and do very well when games came on, I knew practice was really important. So I kind of had an innate respect and understanding that practice and training was where you go to get better. The games are fun,
Right.
but training was always something I was kind of really like excited about, whether it's baseball, getting into the cage and working on your stance and your swing. And that kind of translated into, getting into the gym and wanting to, get stronger and get healthier. Um, but things shifted for me when I was 14 years old.
I saw that. You had a really bad hip injury, is that right?
Yeah, so the term is called a slipped epiphysis. It's one of those words you can hear it and then
That's a
never have to use it
that's
again.
a tough one for a lispy guy like me to say. Slip
Yeah.
slip this
So the layman's term is my femur slipped out of the growth plate, and
Okay.
that could have happened in a bunch of different ways. It could have been a genetic thing. I had leukemia when I was 3. Chemotherapy could have done something with my bones. However, it happened, and
Right.
I thought it kind of felt like you had a really bad like groin pull, like I got like just a really bad muscle pull
Yeah.
and was trying to like stretch it out and trying to like figure, but it kept lingering on. So finally my parents brought me to an orthopedic just to get it checked out and see if something else was going on. And
Right.
as soon as they throw an x-ray in there, they're like, yeah, see how the femur's supposed to be in here? Yeah, it's out here. We need to go and we need to have emergency surgery this day to put a 6-inch pin in there.
Oh,
And
wow.
that took me off my feet for over a year. It's a pretty big recovery process. So kind of a weird time in my life looking back in retrospect because my whole identity, my whole friend group, my socialization was all around sports. All my friends played sports, we played together. And
Right.
now going into high school, like now all my friends kept going on and playing sports while I was sidelined. So
Well, I
was
think
kind
that's
of
the
a
hardest
lone
one,
wolf for a
right?
little
Is
while.
like any time where your identity becomes the thing, right? Like when it's like a loss of identity, it seems. They say a lot of athletes actually struggle with that when they come to the end of their career. Oh,
Oh yeah, I think it and it happens in all different times of life, when you are doing something and your identity is kind of wrapped around a lot of things that you do, at 14, 15 years old, you don't have really self-awareness or,
right.
anything around that.
Yeah, yeah.
But so, fast forward a few years, was kind of just going through the motions, working at some restaurants and stuff like that. I had this idea that I could still live my childhood dream and play professional baseball. So I was like, all right, I need to get in really good shape and I wanted to move to Florida and figure out if I can make a run. So I kind of got into fitness around 20 years old or so and got in really good shape.
Right.
At that time in life, you're made of rubber and magic. Like you can do anything. Like you can
Yeah,
beat the
yeah, yeah.
shit out of your body and you just, sniff a protein drink the next day and you're good to go.
Right.
Um, so I got in really good shape, moved down to Florida. It didn't work out, ended up coming back to my, hometown area in upstate New York. And I was working at a restaurant, and a good friend of mine was a personal trainer who also worked at the restaurant. And I kind of just wanted to get back in good shape. I let myself go a little bit when I moved back. And I asked him, like, hey, can I, meet with you and, maybe do a consultation and see if I can work with you a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's when he introduced me to it's something called the functional movement systems, the FMS.
Okay.
And this is really a assessment process of looking at the body to see if there's any asymmetries or any compensations that are going on naturally in your movement that could predict injury or like more balance or issues down the line. So
Yeah.
if we take it back to my like 14 years old when I had that injury, I didn't realize that over that time from recovering, I developed so many compensations and asymmetries in my movement that I wasn't aware of until I had a third eye assessing me. So my friend put me through this assessment. We went over it. We started doing some corrective exercises, and I felt freaking amazing. And I felt amazing where I didn't realize I didn't feel amazing
Right. That's like
until I
that's a
felt
weird
like
one,
really
right?
good.
Is you
Yeah.
just because your baseline is your baseline and you're like, oh, everyone must just feel this way all the time. And
Oh,
then as soon as it's
100%. Yeah.
lifted, you're like, whoa, like, yeah, I struggle
Yeah.
with
And so you can kind of get numb to it. And I was still like going through workouts and I could like get through stuff. But when he
right,
put me through that and I really kind of saw, oh, like this is what it feels like to be in full balance in my body, I started to get fascinated by physiology and like kind of what the body was capable of. So I started studying it on my own
right.
till eventually my friend ended up managing that club. And he asked me, he's like, hey, do you ever think about, personal training? Like, yeah, I think you'd really be good at it. And I was like, well, what is it? Like,
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
you actually do? And he told me some certifications and I, got some and just kind of on a whim by myself, just went off and studied and got a job and instantly kind of fell in love with it. I always liked working with people and I was good at it. I liked the programming side, but I also liked the human connection side of, meeting people, talking about their goals, seeing what they were going through and what they've struggled with and ended up just being like, okay, this is what I want to do and ended up managing that club for 10 years and then I left there. I joined a friend who owned a studio for a bit in 2018, and we built up that business.
Right,
And then a lot of changes over the time of COVID, which shifted a lot of things where we built an online business till eventually it came to about 4 years ago. I went out on my own, starting from scratch again, and I built my own coaching business and podcast, really focusing on the connection between physical fitness and mental performance and kind of bridging the gap between those two. So, what I do now and how I work with people is kind of the demographic I talk about is the advanced beginner,
okay.
where you've kind of gone through a lot of the beginning steps of getting some consistency and making some progress towards your goals. But now you're kind of in this rut spot. It's not new anymore. It's not like the early motivation that's kind of faded.
Yeah, the
And this is
excitement's
where,
wore off and you're
yeah, and this is where a lot of people kind of fall back into old habits and then this yo-yo cycle of succeeding for a bit and then falling back. We end up going into that a lot. So that's where I work with a lot of people of connecting really more of the mindset side of health and fitness along with the programming and the physical fitness side.
right. And where do you start with someone when they come in to see you? Do you do like a have to do an assessment, I guess, to see what kind of level they're at?
Yeah, there's an assessment. So there's physical assessment that you do, but now really my process is just having more of a conversation. As cliche it is about what is the goal? Like that's always the question, right? It's like, um, I think I've been a victim. Well, I've made the mistake as a coach, and I think a lot of people have as well, of thinking that my journey and my experience and everything that I've gone through is the same thing as another person. So I just
Right.
need to do everything that I've done and put them that into their life, and they're going to be successful. That's not the case. It's like everybody has a different reason behind the goal that they have, and we don't often really think about like the why is this actually a goal? Like how is life going to be different by achieving this?
Right. There's that
Um,
really good phrase they say, like a strong enough why can overcome any how.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like everything, it's a good thing to say and it makes you feel good, but actually what's the application and practice of that? So
Right.
I often ask people about that, like why is this important? Let's dig deep into this. And a question I ask a lot is, let's say you achieved everything that you want in this call today, and like just have a magic wand and you're there. How is life different?
Right.
Like, how do you approach your day? Is it like you're more confident? Is this a physical thing? You're able to do more stuff? Is this a business development? Is this an energy? Like, actually, let's break down how is life actually different? Because if you don't connect with that, then there's going to be too many days where you're not going to feel like doing what you need to do. And if you
Yes.
don't if you don't understand and really get connected with that vision behind why you're doing this, it's just way too easy to just fall back into old habits and not doing that. Versus if you know there's a specific reason why you're trying to make a change, it's going to be a lot easier to get through those days because everybody's consistent when they're feeling good and they've got great sleep and nobody's obligated and the schedules aren't popping up or your kid doesn't get sick or whatever
Right.
life defenses pop up at you. Consistency starts to flex its muscles when life starts getting thrown at you. That
Yeah.
really shows where you're at.
They always say, like, yeah, it's pretty easy to have a good day when it's a good day. It's like, but can you
100%.
can you have a good day when you're having a bad day?
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
great coach in Seattle, Vancouver area, Luca Hussover, who he has a great line. He says the best thing you can do is have less shitty days. It's
Right.
like so raise your floor. Don't think about getting to your ceiling. Just raise your floor as high as possible. Because if you keep doing that, then even your shittiest day is going to be better than what it was a year ago
Yeah,
and what it better was a year
100%.
ago.
I think that's what they talk about, just even like in societies, right? Like it's more important to raise the floor than to like raise the ceiling.
Yeah.
So even like if your poorest people, if you bring them up to a higher level, it's better than like, just having your top people be even higher up there.
Yeah, because you're always going to have tough days, but if you raise that floor up, you're not going to fall as far down on those days. It's going to be easier to maintain a higher level of
Do,
consistency.
do you have a way of measuring? So I used to, I've been strength training probably for like, 5 to 6 years. I've been going pretty consistently to the gym 4 times a week. I started doing like a push-pull legs roughly 2 years ago for my split. So I was trying to do it 6 days a week and take Sundays off.
Mhm.
So push pull legs, Sunday rest. I felt like I was just burning myself out.
Mhm.
And I was doing like the thing where you're saying, oh, it's easy to go when you want it to go. But I was like, no, I don't care how tired you are, you're going today.
Sure.
But it feels almost counterproductive where I'm like, I noticed my strength dropping off. It's like I wasn't giving myself enough recovery time. I've
Hmm.
actually now been a lot more lenient with my recovery days. I kind of
Yep.
use that James Clear rule, like never miss twice. So
Sure.
it's like, sure, if you don't want to go to the gym today, don't go, but
Hmm.
you're going tomorrow. Um,
Yes.
so do you have any metrics that you use to measure whether or not you're just being mentally weak, where it's like, hey man, you're just kind of being a bitch, get in the gym and
Yeah.
go lift the weights, or you're like, hey, you actually do need this recovery, take a day.
Sure. So it's a great question. I break it down in a couple different ways. And the analogy I use, Alex, is a highway versus a train track. Okay.
Okay.
So let's take you, for example, 5, 6 years in the game, been pretty consistent from there. So what I would say to a beginner who's never done anything before and someone like you who you've had some reps in the tank is
Right.
going to be different. And I think that's one thing that is a misconception that we need to kind of get some clarity on. What you do today versus what you do in a year might change based on the frequency, and that's okay. There's not one way to do it. And I think there's a lot of messaging specifically in fitness is about this is the way to go. Like you've got to do it this way. This
Right.
is how you get it done. 75 hard, go keto, go carnivore, no vegan. Like it's all like this is the metric to do. All of it works, okay, but it works for a specific period of time, okay? So how I think of this and with the analogy of a highway versus a train track is so many of us we go into a program thinking that it's like a train track. There's one lane, you don't derail at all. If anything shifts you off path, you failed and the whole train falls off track.
Right.
And this is where it's like, no, you need to go 5 days a week or 6 days a week, everything in there. And if you don't do it, you're a bitch. And it's like
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
this type of, this negative connotation and going in with this like obligation. How I think of it and how I work with this with clients is I think of planning like a highway. So, like, think of it like in the States, if there's a three-lane highway, right? The left lane is the passing lane. That's the
Right.
fastest lane on the highway, right? That's where you're going pedal to the metal, you're going faster. It's more of like a very quick approach. The right lane is the carpool lane. It's the on-ramp. It's the slower lane right there, okay? And
Mhm.
then the middle lane is somewhere in the middle. It kind of dictates the pace of what's going on, right?
Right.
Every lane has a different reason and every lane has different speeds, but they're all moving forward.
Right.
They're all making progress. So if you take this in the context of planning this out, I like to think of, all right, my middle lane is like, this is what my like optimal plan is for this week. I'm going to train 4 days a week. Okay.
Right.
Let's just use that example. Okay. That's my middle lane that I want I'm going to get into. Okay. All right. If I go into the left lane, I've got more energy. I've got some more open time, or I want to push a little bit harder this week because I've got that extra juice. That's my left lane. What are some things that I can do there? Maybe it's 5 days a week, or maybe it's adding some more intensity to those 4 days a week. That's just a little bit extra juice I'm going to go in. That's my left lane idea. But then there's the right lane. That's our non-negotiables. If everything goes to shit this week, okay, your RV breaks down,
Yeah.
okay, or somebody with family, your child gets sick, or you just have low mood, or you just low energy, or you didn't plan out, life's defenses just start playing really hard. If everything goes against you this week, these are the things that I'm still going to make sure that I get done. I'm going to go to the gym once a week, but I'm going to walk for 30 minutes a day or
Right.
I'm going to go twice a week or whatever it is. The right lane is no matter what, that is your non-negotiables. You're getting that done. So what we did is we just gave our plan options. It's not just a one thing in there because that's just focusing on a perfect ideal plan. And life does not play with our perfect expectations. You
Right.
have to give yourself some ideas of, all right, if things pop up all the different times, these are the things that I can do to shift. This is another reason if we go into the mindset side of this of why this is really powerful, okay? Is most people don't trust themselves that they're going to do what they say they're going to do.
Right. That is,
It's
I think that's the best measurement of like self-esteem, right?
and it's yeah, and
Yeah.
a guy I had on my podcast, he said a great thing. He said, "What's the biggest role as a coach?" And I was like, "Oh, well, it's like put plan down, blah blah blah, all this stuff." He's like, "No, our best thing is we need to instill self-confidence in people
Right.
because when people are self-confident, they can move mountains."
Yeah.
And if you think of it, most people, specifically people I work with who are adults, anybody 35 or 40 who are coming to me with like a fitness goal or like a mindset goal, I am not the first time that they've ever attempted this. They've succeeded and failed and tried and failed probably numerous times before. So they already feel like they have a track record that they fail more often than they succeed. So the trust that they can actually achieve everything that they want is very low.
Right.
And if you only go on a one lane highway and you go in that, and then if anything throws you off, those old habits, this is what I did before. I'm like I got to get back. And then we push ourselves back in, and it's this like resistance pull that we have. If you feel resistance or if you feel like not confident, how long are you going to be able to sustain a program in doing that? Okay, that's a very outlier person that can do that for more than a couple months, maybe.
Right.
Versus if you really get down that right lane and you get those non-negotiables down and you hit that on an every week basis, then week by week, you keep building up self-trust that you said you're going to do what you said you're going to do.
Yeah. And
Now
that's
it's not a mindset trick anymore. Now, 3 months down the line, if we've done this 12 times in a row, now you have evidence of what
right.
you've done.
That
And
seems
that's
to be the
better than
thing is
anything.
just stacking evidence, right? Like
That's it.
that I do like a crazy water fast every year. So before I put this RV away, I go in the woods and I do like a 2 week water fast where I don't eat any food for 2 weeks. I just have water
Mhm.
and some electrolytes. And the thing I always say, people are like, oh, what's that like? What is it? And the number one thing that I get pleasure out of with it is that I completed the thing that I said I was going to do.
That's
Exactly.
it.
Say like it's just that I'm like, hey, I decided that I'm going 14 days without food and I'm doing it. And so when you're done, like you're so empowered. Like I just go, hey man, look at that really hard thing that you did that you said you were gonna do. I'm like, what else could you do if you put your mind to it? And then that bleeds over into every area of your life. My comedy gets better, my mood is better,
Mhm.
just everything. Like my all my habits become better. My relationships with people, I just become by far the best version of myself after achieving that thing.
Oh, it's huge. Absolutely. Well, that's why it's like people who do things like Tough Mudder or Spartan races and stuff like that. The best thing out of all of that, yeah, it's a cool challenge to go to and stuff like that, but they give you a medal at the end and it says, I completed this, I got this done.
Right.
So having that, and we do this in all different things, right? We get report cards, we get promotions, we get diploma, like all these things. They don't really mean much, but it is a symbol of I did something here, I completed something. And when you do something like that, like a water fast, which is a challenging thing for 2 weeks, anybody who's gone more than 2 days of doing a fast knows that that's when it gets really juicy.
Well, that
Like
dude, that's the crazy thing that I found is like I find always day one is very hard because
yeah,
you're going, dude, it's so hard on the first day. There's no
yeah,
way I'm making 14 of these. So
yeah.
that's hard. But then like after day three, I found I get a little bit better. But by day 10, it is just like chaos because your mind is just going, dude, nobody's making you do this. Like that, it's not like your family's held hostage and they're like,
Yeah.
if you eat before these days, your whole family dies, and you're like, I must make it. Like there's
Yeah.
nobody, and the other thing is nobody cares. Like nobody else cares. Like go ahead and eat. No one's gonna be like, haha, you didn't. Like nobody gives a shit. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
you with yourself, but your brain is trying to trick you and be like, just eat the food, man. Like no one's.
Oh, have you read the book The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter?
No, I should write that down though, because I do.
Phenomenal book.
I got a
I just
bunch of
reread it.
Audible credits that I've stacked up right now. I got like 10 of them, and I've been looking at
Oh
them.
yeah, it's a great book. It came out maybe like 5 years ago, and
Okay, so what's it
Michael,
called again? The
it's called
Comfortable?
The Comfort Crisis, and
Okay.
I'll give a terrible synopsis of it right now, but it's Michael Easter. He's a professor from UNLV, and he wrote this book that's kind of has two different themes going together. One is about kind of the cultural times of how easy things are now with advanced technologies and how comfortable that we can get in and what that's doing to society. At the same time as he is doing like a self journey of a 5 week hunting trip that he took with two guys in like Alaska that nobody's ever been to before, which is so challenging and so hard. But there's a thing that he talks about in that, which is a Japanese term called the misogi, which
Okay.
is one of the most challenging, like difficult things that you can do. It's not a specific things, but it's something that
Like a philosophical thing.
it's
Yeah.
a philosophical thing, which is like it's one of the hardest things that you could do. There's like that 50% chance you're not gonna achieve it. Like it's that difficult. And I think the number one, there's like two rules of it. Is like number one is make it like this hard, and number two, just don't die. Like it's kind of
Right.
like a hilarious thing. But there's a point in that where he says a misogi is something you don't tell other people about it. It's not something you post on social media. It's supposed to be really just for you.
Right.
Where, as you said there, like nobody's forcing you to not eat. Like this is like nobody's like saying you have to do this. This is a self-directed thing that you did for
Right.
yourself. And that is such a big piece. And I've told this with clients about in coaching because a lot of people will hire a coach to take that part of it off their shoulders and say, just tell me what to do. Like you
Right.
take that part. I say, no, 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 no. I am not your chauffeur. I am
Right.
not putting you in the back seat and driving you to your destination. I'll be a GPS for you. I'll create a plan, but you need to be driving the car. This needs to be you putting your foot on the ground. And I think if you take that and you take that self accountability, not only will you get there, but you'll know exactly how you got there. And
Right.
that's building a system of success, not just a flash in the pan achievement of a goal.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, right? And then it just like you're saying, it's like when you drive or you're a passenger. When you're the passenger, you're like, oh, I have no idea where I am. When you drive around the city a few times, you're just so much more aware. You're like, oh, I know where we're at here.
100%. Yeah. Go get
So,
lost.
so
Like
then
go
I
get
guess
lost for a
from
week.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, so from that standpoint, if you got yourself to the place you wanted to be physically or mentally or through the challenge, then at least you, even if you're not there the next time to coach them, they have some sort of a roadmap where they're like, hey, last time I did this, Michael kind of directed me this way, so maybe I need to try find that again in this new pursuit.
Well, this is what I saw is like, so during the time of COVID, we had me and the team I worked with, we had a phenomenal studio. We had 150 members in 1,000 square foot space. Like it was small
Oh,
space. We were busting out of the seams. We
yeah,
were actually going into a new space. We were expanding. But then the lockdown happened in March of 2020, and now we had to take all of our systems, all of our classes we were doing, and put them online. Like we were very forward thinking. We knew something was going to happen, and we like took all of the kettlebells that we were using and brought them to our clients' houses so they could still do the stuff that they were working with. So they were doing that well for like a short period of time, but then we started to see people fall off, not come to the classes, not stay with it. Spirits were lost and stuff like that. And during that time, we were trying to call our clients, try and stay in touch with them and just, hey, how you doing? How's your spirits? I haven't seen you come into the group classes. What's going on? And there was an answer I got that kind of shook me from a bunch of different people. And they said, I just don't feel like I know what I'm doing if you're not there. And I was like, that's a really interesting response. And then I talked to some other friends who were personal trainers and fitness coaches in other areas who were hands-on working with people in like, one-on-one. And they were going through a lot of the same things with their clients.
right.
And that's when I started to look at the psychology of success. And I realized, oh, as much as if you were in front of me and I was telling you exactly what to do, how many reps to do, like making sure your form is perfectly on, all that stuff, as much as I was trying to help you, I was also subconsciously enabling you at the same time.
Right.
So as soon as I was removed from the equation, a lot of people felt like they didn't know what to do because somebody wasn't watching them anymore.
Yeah.
That's when I started to look at the mental side of what makes some people succeed, what makes so many others fail, and kind of go back. And a lot of it is this accountability piece where it is thinking that you need somebody to be with you at all different times to tell you exactly what to do. But that's not how we're wired. Like you are going to trust your brain always more than you trust me. No matter
Right.
how much you trust me or trust my skills as a coach or what I say, you're going to trust you. So if you don't build up and understand like what you need to do in times when you might be by yourself, then you're always going to be relying on an external source to get there. And that's all well and good if everything goes perfectly as planned, but life doesn't work that way. Sometimes you're going to be on your own where you need to hold yourself accountable. And if you build that muscle, then everything else is just, techniques and tactics and strategies.
Right. Yeah. I've heard some good coaches talk about that, or what I would perceive as a good coach, but they said, I don't want to see you coming here year after year to my conferences and not growing. Like the idea is like, hey, you come and see me and I get you better, and then you go on your way and like, you don't
Yeah.
need me anymore is kind of the idea. And I'll help you get elevated or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of coaches, they don't want to lose clients. They want to kind of keep them in. I mean, it's hard to build a book of business in anything that you
Of
do
course.
specifically in service. But like for like I always like this business viewpoint on retention, right? Everybody talks about retaining your clients, right? Retention is not preventing people from leaving. It's giving them a reason that they want to stay.
Right. Oh, that's a really good way to put that. Because I do think even with the coaching, I had some coaches for a while. Like I've had coaches, I really believe in coaching. I just think it helps in so many ways. And even when everything's going good, it's still nice to even have like a monthly check-in or something
Yeah.
and have them because usually they just give you a reframe or even just this, like the time we're having here to talk for an hour specifically about a thing. It's like that is so valuable with coaching, where they'll actually sit
Mhm.
down and be like, hey man, let's think about this deeply for an hour and talk. And then it just
100%.
kind of
Yeah.
refocuses your brain and like, okay, here's why I'm doing all this and yeah, keeping me on track.
Yeah, there's times for check-ins and for, analysis and getting another person's perspective from a coaching lens. Um, but if that's an everyday thing or you feel like you need to do that in order to wake up and get the shit done that you need to do, we've got a structural problem that's going on here, right? It's like you can't like that's not gonna work in the long term. It might work for a short period of time, and that's why there's so many 6-week programs or 12-week courses out there and stuff like that because it's short because anybody can do anything for six
Well,
weeks.
that's the thing. I think it's very enticing when there's an end date, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just when you can see the end of something, it's a lot easier to work towards it. And I think that's why they said postal workers always go crazy, right? Because they're like, it never ends. Like there's just
Yeah.
deliver the mail and it's full again the next day and you deliver it again and it never ends. And but I think that is in life in general, like it never ends. So you have to find, I mean, I guess life comes to an end at some point, but
Yeah.
you have to find something that you enjoy the process of doing. Like if you're going towards an end goal, like you're going to achieve it, then you're either going to quit and you're going to have to figure out something else, or, if you never get there, you won't be satisfied.
Right. Well, I think it's the things that really give us a deep value in our lives, right? Like, what are those, right? It's like family, like friendships, relationships, probably like marriage. Um, then you have your career, like what you do, what's your purpose that you aim for. And then you have your health, right?
Yeah. Sorry, my internet
Did I lose
froze
you?
for a second there.
No problem. Okay.
That
I'll
that's
shift back in
that's
there on
on
the
me.
values, okay?
No,
It's all
that's on
good.
me. I'm on the Starlink internet, our Lord Elon
Yeah.
there. So, but
It's
yeah,
well,
so I
it's the
think I
joy of
heard
podcast, right?
you were kind of breaking it down, like health, wealth, relationships, purpose.
So if you think of it, right, it's like, well, if you go into a relationship, right, it's like, well, do you do a like 6-week like shred program to get a partner? And then it's like, oh, all of a sudden, like, all right, that worked really well. And it's like then you just jump to the next partner and then you jump to the next one. Or it's the same thing with a career. You want to build a career. Well, you're going to do something for 6 weeks and then stop and then go to the next thing and then go to the next thing. No, it's like you find something that you feel is really valuable and then you stick with it. Like, and you build it up, like just like with comedy, right? It's like you do it and you probably learn so much over the years and a depth of what you do over the time that you've done, but it takes time to do when we think of it with health or fitness, if you break it down into like, oh, like a 6-week program to learn TRX or something like that,
Right.
it's like, yeah, it's like, well, then what are you going to do? You're going to jump to the next thing and jump to the next thing. It's like, no, it's like you need to look at it in the same lens that gives value. Like, once you like, if you start dating somebody at the beginning, yeah, everything's really new and exciting. You're learning all like the fun stuff about it. There's the physical intimacy, like all that good stuff.
Right.
But then once you get past that, then you start to see, all right, is this something that's really got some depth to it? Is there some deeper compatibility? And if it is, then you grow together and you keep working, towards your relationship. But what so many people do in fitness is they jump into one thing because, oh, it's no commitment. It's like if I don't like it, I can go for that's what I it's one of my weird pet peeves. It's like, well, I want to see if I like it first or not. I'm like,
Right.
well, what does that mean? Like, are you looking to be entertained?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like is your workout something that you are looking for an entertainment from? Like, if it is, go check out a comedy show or go watch a movie or something like that.
Right.
Like, your workout should be, it doesn't need to be so stoic and serious, but that's where you go. You're doing some results for yourself. Like,
Right.
but that's why an Orange Theory or like these big, gyms that are blasting music and so much stimulus out here all the time. It's like, yeah, it's fun. It's like a party that you go
Right.
to.
Right.
Yeah, that's a cool thing every once in a while. But what happens if all that shuts down and all you have is you and you got no headphones and you need to do something for yourself? Now you think something's wrong because there's not an entertainment value that's going into it.
Right. So
Yeah.
what is when you ask people, because this is actually something I've been struggling with recently from the more the philosophical mindset thing is my why. I've been having to rediscover my why over, I would say, the past maybe 6 months or so. And the reason why is like my comedy career is working out. Like it's been 6 years, and I'm like, the last 6 months, I'm finally like, holy shit, I think it's gonna work. Like, like I'm actually not just starving and I'm not like my bank account isn't at zero every other day. And like, you're like, because originally the thing was, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this. It was like, because I always had it, well, I've always had this core idea that I believe that like time and effort create a trajectory and that anyone can do anything. We all have a different starting point, but depending on how much time we put into something and then how much effort creates a trajectory and we can grow from there.
Mhm.
So like I believe that anyone could be a professional stand-up comedian if they just dove right into it, started working and stuck with it over a long period of time. And I kind of proved to myself that that was right because I had no basis for being a comedian. I was from like a small town in northern BC. There wasn't a lot of artsy stuff going on. Everyone I know worked in heavy industry, and that's what I did for over a decade. And then I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm doing this. And now I feel like I've proved to myself that, oh, hey, yeah, this is true. You can do this. Now I'm like,
Mhm.
well, now what? Why are you doing it? Like, it's almost like you've done it. And I'm like, but you're not done. You're just getting started. But I'm like,
Sure.
why am I doing it more? And I don't know. Is it the main reason I like comedy is self-discovery? I guess the question here, after my big rant,
Sure.
what is most people's why when you drill into it? What does it come down to?
Man, that's the big question right there. I mean, the answers are obviously going to vary depending on the person
Of
from there.
course.
If we try and find some commonality amongst all of them, that what do we all want, right?
Yeah,
We all
I'm
want
looking for a very simple answer to a very complex question, I guess.
100%, 100%. But these are the big questions, right? These are deep questions that we
Yeah,
have. I think, you know, it's not happiness. I don't think that's the word.
right. I agree with you there because I think happiness is an emotion that's fleeting, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I like the word peace better.
Dude, yeah, that's so funny you're saying that because
Yeah. But I also think it's you know, Jay Shetty has a really good quote. He says, "Passion is for you, purpose is for others." So I think I'm sure you have a passion for comedy that's very intrinsic to you, how it makes you feel, right?
right. Yeah.
It's like that's like it's something that just lights you up. You probably feel alive
Dude,
at that
every
spot.
time I get on that stage, I'm like, oh my God, just I want to live up
100
here.
Exactly, 100%. So, but now it turned from a passion project into now this is a vocation. This is something that I do that serves a bigger purpose because now more people are coming in and probably listening to you. So now the purpose probably shifts a little bit that's deeper beyond passion in there.
Right.
So,
But you know where I always end up is the problem there. Because then I go, okay, my purpose, I want to give back to others and I want to
sure.
help inspire people to follow their heart and chase their dreams.
Mhm.
But then I'm like, now I become a motivational speaker. And I'm
Sure.
like, now you're not doing comedy. Now you're like, it's just leaning. So when I think of that, I'm like, well, then just if this is what your purpose is, quit comedy and just become a speaker. And I'm like, but no, I like the comedy thing. But it like so
100%, yeah. And but I don't think there's such a distinction between the two, you know? It's
right,
like, I mean, comedy is, I think, the ultimate truth serum, right? It's like people are at their most truthful and authentic listening to because if something makes you laugh, that you're not thinking, is this funny or not? It is an instinctual thing that comes in.
right,
So it could be even something that's very taboo or very like very non-PC or whatever. But if it makes you laugh, you can't deny that. That's why I think
right.
I'm such a fan of comedy. I absolutely love it.
Oh yeah,
But
awesome.
if we keep on this, if you talk about connecting with your why, I'll give a different reframe on this of how this connects, right? So if you're trying to improve something in your life, right? Connecting it with something else that you really value is a really cool frame. So if I was you, let's say we were talking about, okay, you love comedy, this is what you want to do, and you want to keep rolling with this, okay? But stuck on the fitness side of it, like being consistent or try and get into this. A question I would ask is, well, you love this part of your life and this is going really well. How much better or how much more impactful could this side be if you really focused on increasing the strength or your fitness in your life?
Right.
Yeah. Now that could be a different answer on different ones, but it might be, well, no, I'd have more energy or
Yeah, like
I'd
that.
take
I
care of
think that's
myself. I could,
the standard for if looking from the fitness side. I don't seem to have much problem going to the getting in the gym. I'm actually parked outside the gym right now.
yeah,
Like as soon as
yeah,
we get up of here, I'm going to the gym. It's a push day. I'm very excited for it. And it is the whole reason I always think, and I think this is the reason why we do anything though, is for a feeling, right?
right.
Like it's the reason I want to go to the gym is because it makes me feel good. And
Sure.
then, like you said, the energy. So then when I do, if I coordinate the physical fitness to my comedy, it seems like a stretch. It's like, oh, comedy, like you don't need to be, you can be 400 pounds up there. But think that the physical fitness, like what bleeds over from the gym is my mind is in a better place. I'm
Yep.
more happy. So or like I'm feeling better about myself, more confident. So then when I come to the computer to write, number one is I can't write when I'm not confident. Like when
Mhm.
my confidence is down, I feel like everything I write is garbage and not worth pursuing.
Sure.
You're like, oh,
Mhm.
this is sucks. This isn't good. No one's gonna like this. When I'm in a really good mood, when I'm really confident, I will write the dumbest jokes and I think they're so funny because I don't
Right.
care that they're just a dumb, silly joke. Because I go, I
Sure.
don't care if it's dumb. I think it's pretty funny and whatever. But when I'm not feeling well, then I'm like, oh, it's a dumb joke. Everyone's going to think it's dumb. I get all insecure. I'm like, don't post it. Just keep it to
Mhm.
yourself and leave it. So I really see the bleed over from physical fitness to my career.
Sure. Yeah, and I think, kind of tying that in with the why, I don't ever think that the why is something that's ever fully crystal clear or ever ending for anybody because it's going to evolve, right? It's like,
Right.
I think of this with I remember I had a guy who came on my podcast, Zach Henderson, and I asked him a question like, what's something that you've changed your mind on over the years of coaching and
Dude,
stuff?
that's
I
so go ahead.
I love asking that question. I think it's interesting. And he brought something up. He's like, I don't think goal setting's that important. And I was like, oh, I'm like, let's dive into that. What the hell do you mean? Because I
Right.
love goal setting, right?
Yeah.
And he brought up this idea. He says, when people come to you first, the goals that they have They might be on the surface, but they're not actually the goals that they really like want to achieve because they might not be in a state where they think that it's even achievable,
Right.
right? So he brought up this example of a woman he was working with who like kind of just got started, was never into strength or anything like that. And he was working with her on pull-ups and eventually got her up to doing like an unassisted pull-up, which is a great biomarker for a lot of people to get to.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And then once that went in and she asked something like, we really work a lot on pull-ups. And he kind of went into the coaching speak of like, oh, it's great for grip and all this stuff, irradiation, like all these big jargon words that coaches, we love to talk about how smart we are when somebody has a question, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's like my sister has really bad arthritis and she can't grip anything and she can't open jars. But we've been working on pull-ups and my grip feels really good. I'm wondering what other strength that I can do now. So it kind of taught him something in such interesting things. She started to look at different things in her life of what she was working on. But then now, once she achieved like a new thing that she didn't realize that she could achieve, now it opened up even more thought processes of what's another thing that I can achieve, where months before, that wasn't ever a goal that she thought she could achieve because there was no context that she could even get there. But
Right.
now she's built up some stuff. So kind of what you're talking about of grinding for like a long time of getting into comedy. And now it's like, oh, now it's a new thought process of this shit is working out.
Right.
Probably new thoughts are coming into your mind of like, well, shit, what's my why now? What's the next goal? What am I chasing now? It's a
Well,
new identity that's coming from that.
yeah, that is again the thing from the fast that bleeds over that I say is like when you achieve the thing, then you start looking at other areas of your life. You're like, well, if I could do this really hard thing, what else am I capable of? And then yeah, the ones I always put that I find for my why is always like um I want to be a husband and a father one day. I'm a single dude. And so you're always like, oh, I'm trying to become the best version of myself for my future wife and for my future children. That seems to be one that I can kind of dig in on quite a bit. Um, my family, so that I can, be there more for my family. But it's like that classic thing about was it that story, the Mexican fisherman? You ever heard that one?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
With
where it's like, yeah, he's doing that, and then the whole thing at the end is so he's like, oh, I do it so I can.
go right back so he can, have his
Yeah, and
evenings off and play music with his friends and everything. Yeah.
exactly. So that's why, like, I always said, my goal is that I want to, like, a big, big dream was like travel the world with my friends and family doing comedy. So it's like my mom could be with me. We'd be on the jet flying to London to the O2 Arena, and you'd have all your friends and family with you, and you'd get to do that, and you'd get to spend all this more time with your family. But then now I'm like, I'm already doing it, just not on the scale that I like. Like my mom is retired. She comes to a ton of my shows. She's at probably 80% of my shows. She follows me around the country. She sells t-shirts at the show in the merch booth. Sometimes we get our own liquor license. She sells the booze. So it's like my mom's already with me. I've already got my own little mini tour bus.
Yeah.
It's not the big dream bus that I would love to have, but so you're already doing your dream on a smaller scale. And it always reminds me that like if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy then. Like if
Yeah.
because like you're already doing the thing, getting a bigger tour bus isn't going to be better. Doing a bigger show isn't going to make it that much better. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful frame, Alex. I think one of the hardest things I've thought of this a lot over the last year is being okay with where you are in the process of going to where you want to go.
But
So it's
that
like,
so that's where I find though the motivation gets lost then, where I trick myself in my brain, right? Like I go, there's the big dream, to be this like super successful, famous, multimillionaire comedian flying around the world doing these giant shows with my friends and family. And then I go, I'm already at a point where I'm getting to basically do that just on a smaller scale. So then my brain goes, well, then what's the point of chasing this thing? You already basically have it, just in a not as shiny of a version of it. So then my brain's like, I don't know if the extra work is worth it rather
Yeah.
than put in the extra time to grind and get there, why don't you take that time and just go and spend it with your friends and family?
Yeah. So, I'm a stickler with the words that we use. It's just my
Yeah,
coaching
no, I
brain
like
in
it.
there.
I'm
Yeah.
for it.
So I think one thing right there, if we think if we think of it as chasing, then it's always going to be running away from us.
Right.
Right. So if like looking at it and reframing the words that we use for that, I think is a really powerful thing because we're meant to grow. We're meant to strive. We're meant to get to next evolution and evolve into that. So it's finding that right word that aligns with you on that because I've thought that forever is like, in my own life, I spent 10 years in the first part of my career very successful, everything on paper that you want. I had $1 million business. I managed a great team. I bought the house. I bought the car. I had the gorgeous girlfriend. Like everything was like in line. I was
Right.
working 70, 80 hours a week. I was putting the mask on of so much stress and anxiety at every time. My time wasn't my own. I always had the dream that like I wanted to be my own boss, to run my own business, to have that part of my freedom. 4 years ago, I started my own business from scratch, zero, like $0 in the bank, like everything. And it was a very easy thing to, the hard part wasn't the startup because at the beginning, it's like I've got nowhere to go but up,
Right.
right?
And it's so exciting and new, right? Like it,
Everything's new. I'm like, yeah, I was going to be fine. I was going to be fine. But then once I was a year or even a couple years in, everything was like, what's the next thing that I need to do? And I keep chasing the next thing afterwards. And when I actually broke down, I was like, what are the things that I really valued? I remember there was actually a day, and I mean, it's numerous days, but I remember one day I was sitting at a coffee shop because Thursdays I take the day off from appointments. I just open that up to work on stuff rather than in stuff.
right.
And I'll go to a local coffee shop and I'll just like take a book and like just take a journal and I'll just write, I'll listen to music and just kind of have a day just to let my mind explore. And it was a day I was like so stressed about like were things going in the right direction? What else did I need to do? And I was like, I'm like, I'm sitting here on a Thursday afternoon at 11 o'clock, having a cup of coffee with a journal, just enjoying the day. And nobody is throwing me in any different direction of where I need to be. I'm going to meet my girlfriend later. We're going to grab some food and like just hang out for the afternoon and stuff. Like, this is what I dreamed of having before. And I think Alex Hormozy has a great quote that says, you've already achieved goals that you've wanted to before in the past. You
Yeah,
just
that
forgot
that you
about them.
said would make you happy.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think the one thing that I think, as far as like an application or a practice of the why of like getting that down, is I think if you do take the things that you really value in your life, like, and the things that you really enjoy and you want to increase, right? And you're trying to build new habits or new things into your life in order to excel, connect those with the things that you already value. So as you mentioned, you want to be a husband, you want to be a father one day from there, right? Okay. What is being a perfect partner for your spouse and being a perfect dad for your future children? What do they do? How do they act? What do they do like? And then work towards being that person
Yeah,
in the
I
best
think
way.
yeah, I think that's a really good way for yeah, finding your moral compass and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Is always
Well, there's
that
yeah, because there's
like
there's a phrase I like to use with that. I think it's raise your standards, not your expectations,
right,
right? Because I think if we think of all these things, whether it's career or whether it's fitness, getting to a certain weight or a certain strength, or if it's relationship, all this stuff, if you keep focusing on the expectations of what you think are going to happen, that's outside of your control. You have no control over what's going to happen from there. You might meet the love of your life later today. Like you
right.
never know, right? But what you can control is what are the standards that you hold yourself to, right? It's like getting yourself in a state where you feel really confident so you can have a really good writing session for jokes, right?
Right.
Doing those things and putting yourself in that situation. I tell this to clients who are just getting like going, if they're trying to build consistency in their workouts. And I say, if you're in a low mood or you don't feel like it, you got a lot going on, just go do a warm up. Take 5 minutes and do the warm up.
Right.
Don't commit to anything else. If you do the warm up afterwards and you still feel like shit or you don't feel like it, okay, that's fine. Go to
Yeah.
the next thing. But do one thing to move yourself towards that needle. That's a James Clear thing from Atomic Habits, where he
Right.
talked about the guy who I think the guy lost like 150
By
pounds
starting at what, 5 minutes a
by
day?
going 5 minutes to the gym because
Yeah.
all he would commit to was five
Well, and
minutes.
the big thing there, I think, even when he was building that, was he wouldn't let him do more than five. He's like, at the start, even if you feel like doing more, no, like you're packing up, you're taking your stuff, and you're getting out of here. And it was to build the habit, right? So it was like just start there, and
That's
yeah,
it. So go back to the analogy of the highway that I talked about, right?
right. Where you
Get
have your
re
right lane is
get
your,
really good. Get really good. The middle lane and the left lane are awesome, right? But get really good at your right lane.
right. I
If
think
you
I need
can know,
I think that would be a good restructure for me. So I've been writing my goals every month for probably almost 5 years now. I have yearly goals and I have monthly goals. And on my Instagram, you can see I haven't done June yet. I'm so far behind. That's why I'm like slagging because I'm like, dude, it's June 11th and I haven't put them out. But I break it down into comedy goals, health goals, and business goals. And then I write those down. And then I write what is it going to take to achieve these goals? And then why do I want to achieve these goals?
yeah.
But I think something that would be really good, I'm finding it kind of, it's like a mundane template now. Like I've used it so much and the goals are almost the same because I do a lot more of, I guess it would be, oh, what do you like? Habit for goals rather than outcome-based goals. So a
Mhm.
lot of my goals are like write for 15 days this month, 15 times, write like 15 days, write for 15 minutes. And then the next month I might be like, write 16 times, like try to make it a little bit more, or
Yep.
that like add a minute, like do 17 minutes instead of 15. But it's basically the same thing over and over, and it's getting very meh. I think doing what you're saying would be like, what at the end of this month, what is the minimum that I must have achieved, in something? Be like, what is, good and what is like great? Like if we got this done this month, I would be super pumped.
I'll give a quick reframe on that, okay? Because I think if you use that analogy of standards on that, right? My
Mhm.
my coach, my great friend Brian Grosso gave me this and I thought this was beautiful. It's like because if we only focus on like that right lane of like what are the things we're going to do, it just turns into a task list. And
Right,
I know, like, for me, like, I can be in a zone where if everything goes to shit, I'll still get these things done, but I can do them very half-heartedly or do them kind of easy from there. Where he says, like, what is the standard? Break it down into, like, what's one word that you would use for your standards of that? Mine, I'll give you mine, is masterful. So like a mastery is a big word that I love, like the
right,
1% better every day of going in. So I say like the standards that I hold myself to, okay, I've got these four things that I'm my non-negotiables that I'm going to get done. The standard of what I'm going to do for them is to do them as masterful as possible.
right.
What does that mean? Okay, I'm going on a podcast. All right, take a shower.
Yeah.
Be be hydrated. Get my lighting right down. Like what is going to make it for as good as a possible thing in the time that I'm going to do that? Or if I'm doing reach outs for my business on here, okay? I can do easy reach out. Hey, just following up with you. Hopefully everything's going good. Let me know if you want to chat. Okay. That takes 2 seconds, but I'm not doing that to a masterful thing. What
Right.
if like what if I personalize that out much more to this person? Hey, you mentioned in our last conversation that you really like this or something like that. I found this article. I thought this would be cool for you to check out. Go one step above of doing that, of bringing that into a mastery set. So I'm just thinking like an analogy for you of like doing your writing if it's 15 minutes of writing or something like that. Like, what's the standard of doing that? Maybe it's setting up the environment in the best way or getting a workout done before so you're in the right state of mind. And I think I've said that with people like with doing the warm up, right? Do your warm up, but don't listen to music.
Okay.
Don't add another thing. Like get into your body and make that like a holistic feel for you
I
of that.
did have one weight training session where my AirPods died.
Yeah,
I couldn't use them. I really liked it, dude. Like I was locked in. Like every rep, I just felt so much more like you're locked into this thing, and I could
that's
hear
a great
myself
hack.
breathing on like
Yeah.
the on the what is it? The eccentric is the way down. So what's the way up?
Concentric. Yep.
Concentric. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So on the concentric, you can feel like the exhale, and I'm like, oh, perfect. And then a deep breath in on the eccentric, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I
It's a great hack for anybody that's been consistent and trying to keep their mental focus in is 1 day a week, no extra stimulus around like for
right,
you. Like go down into grassroots and stuff. Because kind of like when we talked about like if you go into a group setting with a bunch of people and the music blasting and stuff like that, there's a lot of stimulus that's going. You're borrowing dopamine from other areas of
right.
your body. But if you go and reset that where it's just you and your own demon thoughts or whatever's going
Yeah.
on there,
Dude, I don't know
right?
how we made it this far in the podcast with just the trigger word of dopamine out now.
Yeah.
Right at the very end, we just throw in the dopamine where we go into a whole 30 minutes on that.
Oh,
Dude,
100%. Yeah.
dude, that was great. I wanted one more thing I was gonna say before I let you go quick. Oh, what was it? Oh, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna have to probably try and remember for another time. There was what were we just talking? Oh, the masterful thing. I heard a really good quote. It honestly it stops me or gets me to do the right thing a lot, but they say how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mm.
And I really like I know a lot of the time I'd go to like leave the house and I would look back and I'd see that the light was still on. And I'm like, just gonna leave the light on. Then I that would pop my head to go, Alex, how you do anything is how you do everything. I'm like, God damn, all right, I'll go back, I'll shut the light off, and then I'll come back up the stairs and like go out to my workout or something. And
Yeah.
that little how you do anything is how you do everything has got me to really be like, yo, tie your shoes, don't just slip them on, like do the thing. And it just, yeah, I think it's great. I like the masterful.
That that phrase that's a tricky phrase right there. I'm maybe contrarian on
No,
that
this is
because
great. Yeah.
yeah, because it's yeah, I get it. Like I think it's a good frame like as far as like, holding yourself to a standard on that, but at the same time, this is where I've seen a lot of people struggle is they try and make so many changes and so many adjustments on things. If you're at like an early stage where you're trying to make a lot of evolutions in your life, focus on one thing and do that really well, right?
Right.
If you think you're going to, I've had this like, in the frame of just coaching and fitness because I've done that for so long. Like, if somebody wants to get into fitness, they want to get in nutrition, they want to get into mindset, all this different stuff. No, we're doing one.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other stuff, like if it happens to do a little bit better at that for a little bit, that's fine. But build one thing up first and then go to another one, and then go to another one, and then go to another one. Get those things down because anything that's brand new, right? That's going to take a lot of energy. I think the tying the shoes is a great example. Watch a 3-year-old tie their shoes. They are like focused, like they are like in the Olympics,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
tying that
They're
shoe, right?
locked in. Yeah.
Now we could have this whole podcast tying shoes and we're not thinking about it right there because the energy that you need to do that has subsided. You can go to something different from there. So anything that you're doing as far as changing a habit up, focus on one habit at a time. And then once you get that down, it's the initial like focus that you need to build that up. Once that subsides where it starts to be a little bit more second nature, then add the next thing in, then add the next thing in, then add the next thing in, right? It's like the energy you probably had the first time you ever stepped on stage in an open mic to now what you do
Yeah.
is probably so different right there,
Oh,
right?
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, if you kept the same freaking nervous energy from what you did before to what you do now,
Yeah.
it would not be working out the same way, right? Shift changes, things evolve.
Right. Well, I think that's a very good reframe to use your words. I do like that because yeah, you would get bogged down trying to change everything in your life all at once. So, yeah.
100.
Anyway, Michael, it's been amazing having you on. Thank you
This is a
so much.
blast, man. Yeah.
Where can people go to find more of your? If they do you offer online coaching?
I
Where can
do.
people get in touch with?
A couple things is you can check out my website. It's called mystrengthconnection.com. That's where you can check out the stuff I do. If you want to check out, I have two podcasts that I do as well. One is the Strength Connection, which has been a 280 episode labor of love, which has been a blast.
That's
Um,
amazing.
that's where I connect with a lot of coaches and thought leaders in strength around the world to share stories and their insights and their experiences. You can check that out on all listening platforms and our YouTube channel, The Strength Connection. And then find me on Instagram. It's Michael underscore Strength Connection. And then the analogy of the highway, I actually have a free ebook that I can send over to you. So anybody that's listening, if you want
Oh,
to put in the
amazing.
show notes, they can grab that. It's called the Highway of Strength program, where if you want to use this analogy for your specific exercise program, but it's also a way of using this into other things that you're working on in your life, you can go and check that out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. We'll definitely have to have you on again.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much.